There we
You
go.
look at this. Did you ever see this? I'm going to claim you never did. Did you know hi, my name's Tom Wise. I don't want to get yelled at.
I'm Melinda McKinsey. You're going to unpack some shit with us, and Tom is on it immediately. What's going on with your shirt?
Look at this. This is the Bosnian pyramids. Did you even know this existed?
You told me about them.
Yes. I like this is how old this t-shirt is. I like bringing it out every now and again.
It's a good story. Tell the story. It's a really good story.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, when I was freshly divorced 8 years ago, I was reading this thing on Facebook where they discovered pyramids in Bosnia.
Huh.
This archaeologist was looking at these mountains and going, these are strangely formed. They're almost symmetrical. It's an odd mountain range.
Right.
And takes a shovel and starts digging, only to find out that there are pyramids underneath the grass and dirt.
Yep.
And then they do some mathematical calculations. So these are as big, if not bigger, than the pyramids in Egypt.
Crazy. And
they were encouraging people to come and volunteer to help unearth this whole thing. Come on over, spend 3 weeks and get a shovel.
Yeah.
And Bosnia was encouraging, and as a matter of fact, financing to a certain degree the whole trip.
Yeah.
And then I got involved. I sent $18.95, got the shirt. I was thinking about it. I said, what a crazy thing that would be. And then the fine print is, you'll have to pay the tourist tax of $3,800. I'm like, what? What happened to the free sponsored by Bosnia?
Right.
So
I bet people still went though.
It would have been a great adventure. I mean, but it became kind of like,
yeah.
Have you ever been to South Dakota? Did you ever see Mount Rushmore?
Nope.
Anyway, about 20 minutes of Mount Rushmore, they're building this huge Indian chief, a similar statue.
Okay.
But it's never going to get done. But they love collecting, contributions to have it being done, but there's no state sponsorship. But it's a project that no one's ever going to do, but they like using it to generate funds.
How long have they been working on it?
20 years.
That's too bad.
And I think this Bosnia thing's the same thing.
Well, we said we're going to talk about fun topics today, and we are.
That's fun.
We are going to talk about some fun topics.
Can I look any paler? I've lost all my tan.
Stop it. First of all, I'm officially see-through. I'm never out in the sun, but today it's going to get up to 75. So as soon as I'm done working today, I told Jamie, I said, as soon as I'm done working, I'm just going to go get a sunburn. I am literally see-through. I haven't been in the sun in over a year. I mean, the minimal amount of time I've been outside, I go for short little fearful walks because I've been so locked up. So don't talk about pale, sir.
I am outside all the time. Did you see the video I posted?
Of the unicycle?
Woman on a unicycle?
My question, okay.
Go ahead.
So I know you. I see the unicycle. I hear what you say. Before I heard your voice, because, I tell a story in my head. I don't know what you do. When I look at things, I'm telling myself a story. So when I first see it, and before you talk, I go, oh, Tom found a friend. And he's like, hey, let me record this. But then I could tell by your tone and the way you spoke to her, you didn't really know that lady, did you? You're just like.
I chat up 12 people on my walk. Everybody within 50 feet gets chatted up by me. I'm chatting everybody up.
Speaking of which, I highly recommend The Father with Anthony Hopkins about dementia. Go ahead.
And did you see the comment my buddy Keith Baraney said? He goes, "You're gonna end up in jail. You're coming out of the bushes recording women on the street."
Well, I think you were openly in the street. I don't think you were coming out of the bushes. Just calm down.
Yeah, calm down. Just because you're a weirdo doesn't make everybody a weirdo.
Because we all tell stories about where we're coming from. So clearly Keith has some, sexual perversion. But you had two topics you want to talk about: Tip and another dog's name. Point, Tip, and
Art.
So go ahead, and then I've got some I want to talk about Chinese boy bands, katydids. Is that what you call them? Katydids or cicadas?
Yeah, every 17 years or whatever it is.
It's time for them. And first date stories.
Look at you. I just had a I'm not going to call it a revelation, a thought.
Yes.
I said, okay, because I'm looking at, what was I looking at? I was looking at a sculpture. When I do my rowing,
Yes.
so I row hard for 10 minutes and I'm watching Olympic rowers as a motivation.
Yeah, good idea.
Right? Then I do 5 minutes. I'm sure everybody, Paula, I'll give you a second to go get a pencil to write all this down. So then it's 10 minutes of hard rowing and then 5 minutes of just relaxing, just cooling off.
Okay.
Very small efforting. But then since I'm on the YouTube, I can watch whatever I want. And usually I do like tours of France, or I love the train rides through the Alps. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. So I was watching something going to a tour through the Louvre in France, Louvre. Right? Uh-huh. I'm saying, how often does the artist and the brain to say something profound, do they come together? You might have the skill to sculpt, right? But what you sculpt might be, it's a tree. So but very often you see an artist is portraying a moment in history or trying to come along with do something symbolic, like Dali. He's got the mechanical skill, but he also has this interesting thought process about how Germany was entered into World War II and how signing treaties went completely south, and he creates a painting about that. So So you could have an artistic idea, but not the skill to present it, or you could have the skill to present it, but not have a creative idea.
Right.
So it's the rare artist that has both an intellectual thing to say and the skill to create. I'm done for the day. That's my big.
You're exhausted.
My big brain thinking. I'm done.
Woo. I started, I'm doing the treadmill, which I tell you, I don't think I'm an obsessive person, but like I wrap my day around, I get excited about it because I've been watching tours of different countries. Then I made the mistake, flipping through, I'm trying to catch up on all the, Academy nominated films, right? So I've watched The Father, The Sound of Metal, Promising Young Woman, and something else. And I thought, you know what? Let's not get anything heavy. Let's find a series oh my Lord, I started watching House with Hugh Laurie. Have you ever watched that show?
Is that medical show where he's a doctor?
Yes.
I have not, but it was very popular.
Very popular. And I never watched it because I was never before the pandemic. I didn't really sit around and watch television. I actually was out in the world. And so here's the funny thing, Tom. They started, I think, in 2005. So the things they say and do in 2005, you could never say and do. And his character is one of a very male chauvinist, like, I'm in charge, little lady, but, and you tell me if you do this, because I've been watching this medical show, it makes you like, do I have psoriasis of the liver? Like, you start thinking, well, I do feel that. It's so overwhelming because I never think about hospitals or I've been very fortunate. I've taken care of myself. I've never had a surgery, never broken an arm. The only time I ever went to the hospital was to have children. But once you start watching that, you're like, oh, the body really is frail. Oh, if one thing goes wrong, it all goes wrong. So I should probably go back to my tours of France because I got obsessed and I started watching. I thought I'll just watch one more. I ended up actually staying on the treadmill longer than normal because I got so enthralled with this lady who had Munchausen's. So I need to stop watching it. But I want to ask you, in the news, if you heard about this interesting thing that happened. It's been in the last couple of days about a young Russian kid. I think he's 27. In China, they do this Chinese boy band thing, okay, where it's called Produce Camp 2021, where they bring people from different countries and they try to create Chinese boy bands. Have you heard about what happened to the Russian kid? Have you seen it?
No, but remember the guy from Orlando that did that 30 years ago?
I guess not.
Yeah, he famously put all those boy bands that started hitting in the 80s. He cobbled them together, 80s and 90s.
Okay.
He ended up in jail, but
I remember.
He was famous for putting didn't he Justin Timberlake and those boys, and back to Boys to Men and all that stuff. He put those bands together. So I have some familiarity because my girls are in love with those boy bands, and they seem to be from all over the place. This guy's from Australia, this guy's from Japan, this guy's from South Korea, blah 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 blah. So.
And so I guess it's a reality show. And so what happens is, you're on there and the audience votes, right? So this Russian guy was initially brought on to be an English instructor because he speaks perfect Mandarin. Well, the producer said, "You're very good looking. Can you sing? Do you want to try?" So the kid's like, right? I'm here. I might as well. So here's what happens. I can't begin to pronounce his name, but what happens is he thinks it'll be fun. He goes on and people start liking him so much. And here's the thing. At the beginning, they liked him so much. He said, "Okay, I don't want to be here anymore." Well, he signed all the paperwork, and the paperwork says if you leave when you're still winning, you have to pay a hefty fine. So he couldn't leave. So he was there for like 3 months. And every time he would go sing, he would say, "Please don't vote for me. I want to go home." And they said that the Chinese audience were captivated by his disinterest. They were captivated by his disinterest.
You don't want to go? You're going to go. You're staying.
So he was there for 10 weekly episodes since mid-February. And then he finally got voted off. But they said his last plea for please let me go. He still got 55 million votes.
Him and Trump.
Quit bringing up that name into every fucking podcast. What's wrong with you? We're done talking about him. So that I thought was hilarious because I think it reminded me of dating. I find men really like it if they have to chase you and if you're not fully engaged. Right? So if this guy would have begged for people to vote for him, he probably would have gone home a lot sooner.
Absolutely.
Right? So I thought that was fascinating. And I do want to ask you, what do you know about, do you say katydids or cicadas, or what's the proper way to say it?
I think it's cicadas.
Cicada. Okay. I knew I said that wrong. I remember growing up calling them katydids, but that could just be a little thing.
That's something else.
Did. I don't know. But this is the year. They've been underground for 17 years. Now, here's the thing I didn't know, Tom. There are different kinds of these katydids. This kind is called there's, what the heck is the name? They're called periodical cicadas, not annual. The annual ones come out every summer and you hear them. These, I guess, are monster sized. And this is why they're called periodical. They're monster sized. They said there will be billions of them coming out.
What's that guy's name? Carl Sagan?
Yes, I'm Carl Sagan. I'm fascinated by this. I remember as a child taking the little shells, right? Taking the little shells because they climb up quit distracting from my story. So here's
you don't like it when you've got to refer to your phone.
I know, but you know what? I have so many notes. I can't write everything in there. Guess the states that are going to be swamped with the billions. There's 15 of them. Guess some of the states you think are going to be hit.
It's going to be all the Northeast, my friend. New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York's going to go apeshit. Pennsylvania, forget about it. You won't even be able to walk on the streets. Then you're going to see a little bit of Tennessee, and then you'll need a snow plow in Washington, D.C. to make it to the mailbox.
Okay. So here are the facts. You're close on some. Delaware, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana. Tell the girls to get out. Are they going to be gone by mid-May from Illinois?
They're leaving May 15th.
Oh, they're going to
They needed a plow in front of that truck.
They're going to be right in the middle of it. Kentucky, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia.
Okay, I think I was right on.
We can compare notes later.
Thank God this is recorded.
What they're saying is what's a person called when they study insects and bugs?
Entomologist.
They said it's the Super Bowl for etymologists. They're
Boom.
very exciting for this event. So everybody be aware. They said that the ground, it has to be around 64 degrees and there has to be a little bit of rain. It draws them out. They're very loud. They start climbing up into the trees. And then we all know what happens next when they get in the trees.
Noise?
They
Or
mate.
poop?
They
Oh,
mate.
I love it.
They mate. So mid-May,
Let's have a look at that happening. Oh.
everybody be on the lookout for the cicadas or the katydids.
Cicadas, I think.
They said that it doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. This is like
really
exclusive to, yeah, they said it's exclusive to us, and that this is a very big event because they're the periodicals. And they said the next time it's going to happen is 2038.
Wow. So when was the last time it happened?
17 years ago.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to.
2004.
What's that?
2004.
2004. Gosh, that doesn't seem 17 years ago.
I know. They said, it was funny the way they started the article, because they said something to the effect of Obama was still a lowly in the Senate. Trump was still a Democrat. Like they did the whole thing about how different. They're like, the world is very different now than it was the last time that this happened.
So then before that would be when? 4 years and 13 years, 87.
Okay.
And then before that would have been 70. I recall the 70 when I was in Chicago, that the place was going crazy.
Yeah, it's I did not live in Indiana yet in 1970. I just remember the annual katydids, because their little empty shells would be at the bottom of trees, and it was very loud. It was just very loud. But they said the noise that will come from these is something like you've never heard before.
I recall it was like, that was deafening.
So everybody's got that to look forward to during this year of 2021.
So how long does it last? Like 2 weeks or something?
Yeah, it lasts 2 weeks and then they're gone. So
and then you got to clean them up.
Because you've got those shells everywhere. And because there were all kinds of articles like, what happens if my dog eats them? Are they safe? They said that they're big and meaty.
I mean, they're about the size of a big grasshopper, aren't they?
Yeah, they're huge. Imagine, because they fly all around, even though they're going up in the trees and they're loud. Imagine having them land on you. Why do you keep playing with what is up with you with the magnifier?
Let's find out. Let's look inside the glass and see what the answer is. I don't know.
For those of you on iTunes, Tom keeps picking up a magnifier and playing with it because he's distracting from anytime I talk about a subject, he's got to fuck around.
Look at me. Look at me.
Exactly. Now you had another thing you want to talk about tip.
Don't you think a woman on a unicycle is expecting to get a little attention?
I'll be very honest with that.
Please.
I think a woman on a unicycle is enjoying her unicycle just like most women any day. She's not doing it to get attention. I'm sure she's not surprised, but I don't think she's doing it for attention.
Of course. So how many times have you seen a person on a unicycle out in nature?
Like in my lifetime, maybe a half a dozen times.
Half a dozen is a lot.
Is it? Well, here in New York, they ride them at Union Square. There are unicycles. People are out on them.
Doing what?
Like riding back and forth, getting tips, riding around.
Okay, well that's a performance. I'm talking about just out in nature.
Oh, out in nature?
Yeah, I'm not talking about performing.
Maybe once in my life. Yeah, maybe once.
So I'm saying that, it's unusual.
So how far away was she when you noticed her before you started stalking her?
I started jogging right after I turned off the camera.
Good, very good.
And I try to catch an Uber to follow that unicycle. I saw her coming in. I have a little video of her coming in because I'm walking down the street and I'm seeing this big tire come my way. I go, is it a tire and a tire? Like, is one blocking the other? I go, because this is very unusual. That tire looks large compared to her size.
Yeah.
And I have a Google image thing in my head, and I identified it as a unicycle.
Okay.
So I was on my phone anyway because I was watching a show, whatever. Because I was on my walk. I said, I'm recording this, and then she came by and I said something.
Oh Lord, you just can't let people go. You got to say something.
Then I chatted up the two women coming after that, and I said, "Did you see those women on a unicycle?" Oh yeah. So I chatted them up for a little bit, and then I finished my walk, and I said to myself, there's only one way out of this neighborhood. She can't go past me. She's got to come
You
back.
waited for her to come back.
I didn't wait for anything. I did my walk. I do a 1.7 mile walk. I was on the out part. What are you looking at?
I want to show you a picture you're not going to believe that I just took this week. Can you see it? It's a guy practicing on a unicycle.
Yeah, you're stalking a unicycle person. Could you leave the people alone? They're just out there doing their thing.
We were driving by Prospect Park, and this guy, older guy, had the unicycle, and he had two, like maybe ski poles or something, and he was practicing.
For practicing.
Yeah.
If you don't have a pickup truck you can lean on, you need those poles.
No, I always wondered how you would do that. Well, here's the thing, Greg Adelia that's running for mayor in Albany, he actually rides a unicycle. He's done it in some of his stand-ups. So it's pretty common, actually.
So I chatted those old gals up, and then I saw them on the way back, and they were like standing. I go, where? I think you two were on a walk. As a matter of fact, I believe you're standing in an area that's a private property. This is a private area you're standing. I was pretending to give them a hard time. So then nobody ever knows what to make of me.
No, I wonder why. That's having a stranger tell you you're standing on private property. I automatically would laugh and think it's hilarious.
Well, I reveal myself as the jokester, and we started having a few laughs. And then a car pulls up and
the problem is you're in your head and you think it's funny. People, if a stranger comes up and automatically starts joking, you don't know that because you don't know, especially as a woman. If a man comes up, you're always like, are you going to rape me? Are you going to kill me? What do you want? So
or make jokes. You get the third option you never get to.
That is not, if a guy makes a joke, he's trying to distract you to pull you in the trunk of his car.
Get over here.
No, don't trust that shit.
I never get close. It's always a distance. Everybody's got plenty of space. They could run into the woods if they had to.
Because if you have a rape ban, there's someone back behind us on the other side.
Here, take this pill.
You do not understand what that's like.
We were all laughing at the end. We all had a good laugh.
Are you Facebook friends now?
We would have given me 3 more minutes.
Good Lord. All right. Did we talk about tip? You said you wanted to talk about tip. Did we?
Yeah, we had an interesting conversation with the family was here. And, over the weekend,
yes,
had a big family reunion, and my brother had his daughters over, and we had a great time. But then the subject of tipping came. He had an early flight out of, to Chicago,
yes,
to get here, and he had like a 5 a.m. Uber call, and he had placed his Uber order the day before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so 5 a.m. comes and he's, oh yeah, we're tracking you on the phone. We're getting close. And then at 5:10, they cancel the Uber. He's got a flight. So this is like a $62 Uber ride. He lives out in the sticks, almost to Wisconsin, to get to Chicago.
Yeah.
O'Hare Airport. So then he immediately requests an Uber, and magically on a Saturday morning at 5:15 in the morning, there's somebody only 9 minutes away.
Okay.
But this ride is $78. So we're like, wouldn't it be convenient if the guy that was coming to get you canceled the ride for $62 and then he's now available for a $78 ride? We have no idea. Nobody can confirm or deny that. It just seemed, because he lives out in the sticks, my boy.
Yeah.
So ride's over. It's time to tip. Jimmy gives a $7 tip on a $75 ride.
Okay.
The girls go nuts. You can't tip a guy like that.
Okay.
Which also led to the whole tipping thing. I go, okay, what if you're at a bar and you're getting 3 beers? How much? What's the tip? You with the pretty dress and the rainbow monkey. What's the answer? You just went to the bar and you got 3 beers.
I don't know how much beers cost.
So they're $4 each.
A tip on 4 times 3? I don't know. I would definitely, I always give the bartender, even if I pick up the drinks, a tip. So I'd probably give them, I don't know, $2 or $3, I guess.
Yeah. My rule of thumb is $1 a drink.
Okay.
You're getting a beer, you put a $1 down. Now, and I also contend. So now, how about you're having a $17 fancy drink? What's the tip on that?
I mean, I probably do this wrong, Tom, but when I'm out in the world, I generally will always tip 20%, no matter what.
So that means you're going to leave $3
So
roughly.
okay.
Here's what I think. I contend, and I'd like to have somebody serious input on this, that bartending tipping and waitressing tipping is a whole nother ballgame. Waitress, that's an hour and a half event, 45 minutes to an hour and a half event. I'm giving a minimum of $5. I don't care if I get served a $3 sandwich. I'm giving a $5 tip. And so I never tip less than $5. And I generally tip 20%. That's just me out in the world. I think a bartender, that transaction is 90 seconds.
Yeah, you're right.
So why is he getting a 20% tip? I was contending $1 a drink is suffice, but I was told otherwise.
No, I guess I've never broken it down because it's true. There's so many levels of tipping, and I guess the United States is the only real country that does it, right? Other places. But I will tell you this with Uber, I have taken a lot of Ubers in my day. Now, when I was taking Uber for work, I never tipped. I never did because it would come out of my pocket. I just paid them when I paid them. That was supposedly that's the beauty of Uber.
Exactly. When Uber first was instituted, there was no tipping.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it's a $22 ride. It's a $22 ride. Get on with your life. That's how they sold it. Then Lyft came in, and Lyft was tipping their drivers. So then Uber was afraid that they would lose rid of the Lyft.
Yeah. And then I got in plenty of cars that said, "Oh, we appreciate tipping," but also, the reason I did Uber is because I didn't have to tip and have to worry. It was all included in that. The one time I tipped an Uber driver was when I was working at QVC in Pennsylvania. It's about a 3-hour drive back home. They added extra shows and I had a flight to catch. So when I requested an Uber at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I needed to go from Pennsylvania to Brooklyn. So I said, "Hey, heads up, I'm trying to go to Brooklyn. If you can't, that's fine." The first Uber driver canceled. Second Uber driver said, let me call my girlfriend. I'll call you right back. I said, okay. It was his first day as an Uber driver.
No way.
And his first drive. So I forget how many, it didn't matter. The company paid for it. It was several $100s. I personally tipped him $100 bill, as a thing. I probably even actually tipped more than that cash so he could have it, so he wouldn't have to, because I felt like that was a lot. And I stayed awake with him because I was very worried because it was, and he had to turn around and drive back. That's the problem with that.
Right. Yeah. He probably is not going to get a fare from Brooklyn to Pennsylvania.
No. And he said the way the licensing is, but he said it was such a great adventure. He was really cool young guy. But normally I never tip with Uber. But also, do you tip at Starbucks at the drive-up window? It's
ridiculous now. Everybody's got their hand out.
The tipping is rough. Just like at hotels, every time I go to a hotel, they try to take my bags and put their hand out. And it's like, I'm fully equipped to carry my bags. We're not in the 50s anymore.
If someone's serving you, then the tip's involved. If you're just I don't tip the person checking me out at Publix.
Well, I'll tell you what, at my little grocery store down the corner, it's kind of expected. Here's what they do. It's a little tiny grocery store, and they have senior citizens bag the groceries for tips. That's all they get paid are tips.
Oh, you know what?
But it's a way for them to make money. And so I don't have a problem with it, because if I did, I wouldn't go to that store. So I don't have a problem with that.
Right. If you know that up front, I suppose, but it's now restaurants don't pay their waitresses but $3 an hour, and they're expecting to make their money on tips. Now, this local store can just employ old people and don't pay them and just put it on you to pay them.
I hear you. I don't know what their agreement is. I don't know if they pay them. I just know from talking to neighbors, they're like, oh, and I was like, yeah, no, I totally get it. But here's what I don't like. At the Charlotte airport, they have those bathroom attendants.
Go on.
As soon as you walk in, they're trying to boss you around.
No way.
Yeah.
You can't have an attendant in an airport. At a strip club, I can see it.
At an airport. And so I've never tipped them. I feel badly, but also I have no choice. I'm not there because I want to be. This is not a fancy lounge that I'm chosen to go to. Yeah, the Charlotte airport. What a nightmare.
It's crazy.
They feel so guilty.
Yeah, the guilt is crazy. You go to Panera, you're checking out. What's the tip going to be? She's looking at you. You're looking at the thing.
you're thinking, what am I giving? No one's serving me anything. This is a walk-up lunch counter.
Yeah. Well, I think like most things in the United States, we should probably upgrade this and change it so employers have to pay their people so they don't rely on the public.
Here's the question. Do you think Panera's paying less than a living wage or a minimum wage to their employees in lieu of tipping? Like you go to Jerry's, Waffle House, yeah, they're paying a $3 minimum wage or $3 minimum because they're able to pay their waitresses less money because, they make it up in tips. Well, Panera's paying, they're paying whatever the minimum wage is, $6-8 an hour.
So, but also who came up with the idea that you don't pay servers because the public will pay them? What kind of scam is that? Honestly, like, why do we accept that? Like that's an okay thing.
I mean, 20% is pretty significant on a big bill.
No, but I'm saying, where does that happen? Where you're like, I don't have to pay my employees. You guys pay my employees.
Well, yeah, because the guy that owned the place realized I'm paying Carla $5 an hour back in 1965, and then Carla's also making tips. Well, why should I pay her twice? There, she's getting paid.
How do you punish someone for making tips, though?
So, have we come up with an answer for all this tipping?
That the world is more wrong and we're right. That's my answer.
Because yeah.
Do you want to hear about really good love stories?
Yes, I do. We need to have a good news segment in this show.
This is a good news segment. After listening to your friend, what was her name? Gabriella. I knew she had a very pretty name, and she commented, on some of the things we were talking about, and it made me recognize. She talked about the dating segment where I was like, guess when people break up, and it was all very horrible stuff, which I really enjoy. So I thought, you know what, I should find some nice and lovely things. So I pulled up best love stories, and at first they pulled up a bunch of movies, but then I started reading like real life love stories or love dates. So check this out. I went on a Bumble date. This is from a woman. I went on a Bumble date and met a guy at a restaurant where you could see small airplanes take off and land as you eat. I knew the guy was a pilot, but I had no idea that later that night he would teach me to fly the airplane. I took off and he flew me over the city of Chicago at sunset and flew over my hometown, and he gave me the first best date ever.
Isn't that nice?
How clever and sweet. Everybody wins on that date.
I don't want to step on your story, but that used to be my move. I was a private pilot, Oh,
were you a private pilot? I used to live in Hawaii.
But it's a fun date.
Have you done it as a first date?
I believe I have. You know what? I used to have these nondescript dates. Like I'll invite somebody out, but it's not officially a date, but it's me and a woman, and I've asked her out to go flying. Is it a date or is it just me being, whatever? Very soft offer.
I don't know. There's a comedian by the name of Ryan Hamilton who I enjoy a lot, and he told a story once. He is Mormon, very conservative about dating, and he said he really liked this one girl. So for the first date, he wanted to impress her, so he took her on a hot air balloon ride. So that's how the audience reacted. And then he went, don't ever do that. It's a bad idea. He goes, first of all, the way the balloons operate, you have to be out at 5 o'clock in the morning because you've got to go at a certain time before the heat. And he said, so it's very awkward first date. You go. And he said, and then it's very scary. You have to go over all the criteria of what could happen. And he's like, you don't even know this person. And he said, and then I never thought about it. You're up in a tiny basket with a stranger because the guy that's running the hot air balloon is standing right next to you. And he said it was the most awkward first date. But, in your head, you think, well, that is kind of impressive. That is kind of like adorable that you do something different like that. But he said, yeah, he doesn't recommend it. Here's like a casual one, which I also like. I feel like obviously we know there's a lot of pressure on first dates, right? Because you don't know the person, you want to be comfortable. Everybody wants to have a good time, but there's a certain amount of pressure to like be yourself, but be better, right? Like you're trying to impress the other person. You shrug like, no?
No, I am hearing you 1,000%.
Yeah. So this person said, we went to Taco Bell and I didn't even know that it was a date because we were friends. Then when I realized it was a date, we ordered 20 tacos for the two of us. And I knew at that moment that I wanted to continue dating him. I love something fun and casual like that.
Of course.
Let's just get 20 tacos and hang out. Now, if the guy was a jerk and he's like, we're going to Taco Bell, get yourself a taco.
Although, you know, it's all about the dynamics in that situation, because that could be the same thing exactly. It could be a disaster or a great fun date.
Right. I love the idea of some spontaneity with a bit of fun, just to kind of do something different, as opposed to let's go to dinner. Let's, if you have an activity like miniature golf or something.
Activities are key. Dinner dates are shit.
They really are, because it's just very uncomfortable when you're looking at your food and a menu a lot.
I'd much rather, and then, but see, if I suggest to somebody, well, let's just go out for drinks. If I can't come up with an idea, it's like, oh, this cheap bastard doesn't want to pay me for dinner. It's like, oh,
well, I feel like if someone has that attitude, then it's probably not a good way to start anyway. I wouldn't think someone was cheap, because why are you going to invest a lot in a first date? You don't even know each other.
It could be 3 hours. You're sitting there, you get waited on. It's a half an hour wait. We can get you, ugh.
I went on a
I just
first
want my
date.
blooming onion and get on with my life.
Just want my pudding. I went on a first date to the bowling alley there in Tampa, and it was a lot of fun, because I'm not really a bowler, but it gave us something to focus and to talk about.
Of course.
To do. So another cute story I saw, where a girl said she had met this guy casually through friends, and she knew it was his birthday. So she just called up to leave a voicemail singing happy birthday, because she thought it would be cute. He actually picked up and he said, "You're the first person. No one's even wished me a happy birthday." They started talking, they went and hanged out, and they ended up dating each other out of a random, which I love that too, right? Because she said, I had no intention. I just thought it'd be fun. And then we ended up really enjoying each other's company, which I thought was lovely, to not have a lot of pressure to do that. Another cute date was that these two people met. They said they were both having a lot of anxiety and a lot of pressure of how to have the perfect first date. So someone said, you want to just go to the park? So they met at the park, and they ended up walking to the playground. She said they sat on the swings and talked all afternoon. No one else was around. And it was just the most lovely date, because they got to really talk about life. But it was a little bit of something to do, because you're on the swing, you're kind of moving around.
Absolutely.
Which is so cute. I would have never thought, let's go to a playground and hang out. I would love that.
You know what? I like this. May I also suggest just a walk? Let's just go walk through the park. Let's go walk in a nature preserve, something like that. That's always nice. You're kind of looking and exploring. Those are nice dates.
That's a really good idea.
You're up moving around.
I thought about that. Someone else, which I thought it was unusual, but it was still kind of sweet, because I always try to, as a woman, you don't really want to spend the night with someone on the first date, because you just don't know. But this one actually turned out to be very, very nice. That someone they had met on Tinder, they had been joking around a lot, and he was going to go away for the weekend to a cabin. And he said, hey, if you want to, you can just stay for a little bit and leave. She said it ended up being so lovely. They agreed. They slept in separate rooms. She said they spent all weekend together. He cooked pancakes, because there was no pressure of let's have a hot date, let's have sex. She said they ended up dating each other, because I think there's a theme here of let's not have too much pressure to get sexual right away. Maybe we get to know each other and like each other before we let the sex,
of course,
angle us up.
It's funny though, I tell you though, and that's a philosophy that I try to employ, especially these days. But sometimes women are like, "Oh, he's not very aggressive. I don't."
Did a woman say that to you? You're not aggressive enough?
I think that sometimes they think that, or aren't you interested?
Based on what? Why do you think that?
Based
I've never heard my girlfriend say, "Oh, he wasn't aggressive enough on the date." Honestly, never. We're not really looking for aggression. We're looking for interest.
That's what I think.
Not aggression.
Right.
Interest.
Hey, can I tell you the new joke I'm working on?
I guess we're done with this topic. Tell me about the new joke you're working on.
What's the topic?
No, we're going to talk about your new joke. I bet it has to do with dating.
I'm never going to a children's hospital. What do kids know about medicine? It's a dad joke. Let's look a little deeper.
It is a dad joke. Would you please put the toys away? You're very involved in the toys. Okay. Do you have any other dating stories for us? Like lovely, cute.
No way.
Stories? No?
I have had, I tell you, I did have a date. Well, I think I've talked about this, but we talked for 6 hours. The date started at 6 and it was like midnight before we went our separate ways. And then the next date was 4 hours. And then the next was like, well, do you want to come over to the house? Oh no, you're going to kill me. I go, we just talked for 10 hours.
Well, it's not unlike a murderer to warm you up. I mean, just because we talked for 4 hours, what's the line? 10 hours before we know you're not going to kill us? We can't go to your house right away. It is very scary.
Then I said, you should invite me to your house. Oh, that's not happening.
That's fucking worse. What do you think? We're stronger in our own house? We can't stop you from.
You know where the guns are hidden.
Now, how this works is you can always rape us. So it doesn't matter if we talk.
So why are we even bothering? What's going on?
Really?
Really? Why are we even bothering?
This is why dating is a problem, because I think that men don't understand where women are coming from. We are fearful of being harmed. And
on our 57th date, we can.
I don't think 3 dates, even though you talked a lot of hours, is enough to know if you're not going to rape me or not. Honestly,
really?
I think you need just a little bit of like meeting in public, maybe finding out who your friends are. I mean, it wouldn't be, I don't know what Ted Bundy's deal was, but he was able to kill a lot of women just simply based on the fact that he was charming.
Well, because he'd fake a car situation, and he pretended he had his arm in a sling.
Yeah, no, that's true. And we fall for that. We want to help you.
Just like this is like the COVID thing. It's literally 1 in a million. The odds that you're going to run into Ted Bundy are slim. Although it's a horrific experience if you do, but the odds are slim.
Are they though? I think statistically, I can look this up because, I mean, running into a serial killer maybe, but here in New York City, I'm never going to assume that anybody's just adorable and sweet and kind. I would need some time, and I want to know who their friends are before anybody's going to anybody's houses. I just need to know who their people are.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's easily done now with Facebook. Here, just send me your Facebook. We'll become Facebook friends, or I'll just send me your Facebook link and you can have a look at the whole thing.
I used to think that too, Tom, but and now I would say, well, I'm just telling you, honestly, I know you don't want to hear what I have to say, but honestly, I don't like guys I'm dating to be on my Facebook because they stalk you. They know too much about you. I feel like that's too much of an.
Well, don't you want to know about them?
I want to know about them, but I think stalking on social media, it gets too weird, because then let's say it doesn't go well, then you've got that whole like, oh, I should let them go. But
yeah. You just unfriend them and get on with your life. Just like you block them. I'm always curious when a woman is unsure about giving me a phone number. I said, if I'm an idiot, you just block me and get on with your day.
Yeah.
Of course, I've never been blocked.
Well, I don't have a problem with a phone number. I just feel like the Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, TikTok, I feel like it's too much information. I think you should get to know a person in real life instead of basing judgments off of social media. Because social media.
But what if you were dating somebody who lived an hour and 15 minutes away?
Right.
He's driven to your house. You've got an opt for a meal and a walk. Then he's driven home. Then he drove back, and you've done something different but similar. Now what are we doing? He's just going to keep on driving over for 17 times before you invite him to your house or you go to his house?
I would have to play it by ear. I don't have a hard rule on that. I just know that I will no longer allow people I date to immediately go and be involved in my social media, because it feels too
that's a very practical question. So would you expect him to drive over a third time and a fourth time and a fifth time before you invite him to the house, or do you go to his house 6 times? He's driving an hour and 10 minutes.
I know you like math, and I know everything is by numbers, but I would have to play that by ear. And again, we've had this discussion. I have no problem driving to meet him. I'm not going to make him keep coming to me.
Oh, all right. Well, that's fair. Yeah. If you want to extend the courtship, maybe you drive over that way a couple of times.
Well, why wouldn't I? Shouldn't relationships be 100%?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've had very interesting conversations. I remember insisting on paying the bill. When the woman sat down, she goes, "Hey, I'm picking up half this tab, by the way." I go, "All right." I said, "All right." But then at the end, I said, "That was a great offer, but I would pay anyway because it's our first date." But I've changed my mind for women, because that kind of shifts the power. You're not obligated. No one's
Yeah.
obligated with me anyway. But
Well,
if that makes you feel better about not being obligated for what I don't even define obligation, then that's fine. I should accept them paying.
should.
Yep.
You should. I've done that more than once where I paid half the bill. It just feels right because you don't even know each other. He doesn't
Right.
owe me a meal.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know as far as the distance thing. Clearly, I've not had a successful relationship. So maybe all
Thank
my
you.
answers
It's
are
the same thing for
wrong.
me. Right.
But I'm just saying, based on my experience, I used to let people on my social media right away thinking, oh, it's an easy way. And now I feel like it's a lazy way for someone to get to know you. They should know me.
I'm just trying, a man offers that just to make you feel safe. Hey, here's a guy who I don't know, but he's saying, hey, go ahead, peek under my, I don't care. I'd never go on your social media. Probably you
Yeah.
gave me if we switched.
I've learned the hard way. It doesn't work for me. I think social media causes a lot of problems because then I would be hyper aware of any time I posted anything that they'd be watching. And I just don't like that. You know what I mean? And I don't post inappropriate things. I just feel like people that I have on my social media are people that I feel comfortable with, right? So I know I post a lot of political things. And the funny thing to me is if I would post a picture right now of my cat doing something, I would probably get at least 50 people come, oh, I love it. But if I post something about homelessness or the police, oh, everybody's so quiet. We're so quiet. We don't want to, what if we say something controversial?
Those
Oh,
police just post pictures of people on unicycles. Do what I do.
right,
Follow my
well,
lead.
I mean, clearly that gets a lot more, but I'm not doing stuff for likes. I like when I share police videos, like I shared one yesterday because what the police threw this 73-year-old woman down to the ground because they told her to stop walking and she wouldn't. She had dementia. She was just walking home from the grocery store, threw her to the ground, dislocated her shoulder, laughed about it, laughed about it. I'm like, you know what? I know everybody keeps saying, oh, there's a few bad apples. I think it goes so much deeper than what we can even recognize. If you have grown men laughing about hurting a woman that's 70
Okay, this
years
sounds
old,
crazy though. Where did you get the story? I mean, who's the source? It sounds like you'd be psychotic.
it's all over social media. You can find it easily. It's a real story that really happened.
All right.
And the problem now is the woman used to live at home and her daughters would watch her because she's struggling with dementia. Because of this incident, they had to put her in a home. She's afraid of everything now.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I hope that didn't happen, but if it happened, it's horrible.
It did happen, or I wouldn't have posted
So
about
you're
it.
saying a old woman gets thrown down and hurts her shoulder? It sounds
Well,
very harsh.
okay, you know me, Tom, and I know
I'll
you
look
know
at the story. I saw the link. I'm going to check out that story. I'll have an opinion next time.
that's why I connected the link. So if anybody wants to look it up, and now all you have to do is put it in your search bar, and there's so many stories because thank goodness for social media because now there's a follow-up. I think the problem with the police is in the past, there's been no follow-up.
It was
And so
funny. I was watching I was on somebody's very attractive woman, very Republican, and she wants to be the next Tommy, what's her name? The blonde chick that's on Fox, has lots of opinions, kind of like the judge.
okay.
Anyway, they've got these people that are very opinionated.
Okay.
So she's super opinionated. She's a news person, but she can't stop, blurting out her. She says, I've been told to stop giving my opinions on stuff, but she just can't. She's got to let, drop
So she
truth
gives
bombs.
opinions during the news?
Well, no. She's
Oh.
a newscaster in her personal life. She's
Oh,
giving
okay,
opinions.
okay.
Anyway, she's describing the Capitol riots, right?
Okay,
And she
yes.
goes, and then one woman was just walking through the Capitol and she got shot and killed. I said, walking through the Capitol.
That's not what happened. She was climbing through a window that had been broken
Yeah,
with all the rioters.
but I'm saying describing the event changes your perception of what's happening.
Yeah.
2 cops mugging an old woman and throwing him to the ground, breaking her arms. Like, did that really happen? It seems bizarre. It seems like somebody saw something happen, describes it a certain way to lean to skew your feelings about it.
Because it's so terrible.
It's horrible. It'd be terrible. You want
The reason they knocked her to the ground is because when she left the store, they said she didn't pay for all the items. And so when they told her to stop, she said, I'm just going home. So they tackled her. This is the good thing about social media is you and I can't comprehend that that would even be a scenario, but to
Yeah.
find out that it is, you've got to get to the bullies, because if the bullies aren't, brought to the light, well, listen, these cops are going to start crying right and left because they're going to have an excuse about why they did it, but they were bragging until they got caught, laughing on video saying, "Did you hear that, Pop?" And one guy says, "I love it. I loved it."
Wow, that's horrible.
So yeah, so I'm glad we stayed on fun and happy topics.
I tried to do my art thing and my tipping thing. I thought it'd be light and lovely.
Well,
Then my dad joke about children's hospitals. I mean, really, what do they know about medicine?
it's like Zoolander. Do you remember Zoolander when they showed him the little replica of the hospital? And he's like, "But how will other people fit?"
Oh, and that's funny. It's Ben Stiller saying it.
Yeah, Ben Stiller's hilarious.
Fuck him.
And you're going to be using that comedy this weekend for your free show in Tarpon
Free
Springs.
show. Come on to the show. We got.
The show.
I'm not a prop comic, okay?
For those of you on iTunes,
Hey, nobody gives it.
he put on shades and he picked up that fucking magnifying glass like somehow it's the funniest thing he's ever seen in his life.
Our show's taking a very interesting turn. It's turning this way, a little dark.
Oh, it's getting too dark.
We're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to bring in a counselor.
You know what? After your lovely friend pointed out that my segment made her not want to date again, I came up with a concept, and you tell me what you think about this. Maybe every Wednesday we have a debate day, and we bring in an extra gal and an extra guy, and we each have a topic.
Sure.
The four of us talk it out. I think it'd be cool to have a debate with different people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we should make Wednesday's debate day, and we'll switch the topics up.
I love it.
So
Do we have a guest Friday, or is that next week?
next Friday we have David
Oh,
Hollingsworth.
next Friday, not this Friday.
May the 7th is
'Cause we-
David.
We may bring Davis in for a movie trivia. We need to lighten things up. I
Does
think.
Davis really lighten things up all that
No,
much?
but he allows me to bitch about someone else besides you.
Okay, all right. We'll do that on Friday. That sounds good. So I don't know what the weather's like in sunny Florida, but here in Brooklyn, New York, where we've had really kind of chilly weather, it's going to get up to 75. So we're losing our minds.
What? It's
How do you know?
it's still in that good zone for me. 84 gets below 70 at night. I can open a window.
Yeah.
We're weeks away from the humidity, so I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it while I can.
Good. Well, very good. So I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise.
You've unpacked some shit with us today, and we hope you're okay. And if you're a little stressed about this segment, we recommend therapy. Therapy's good. Talk to somebody
Or give us advice.
or give us advice. We need it.
Absolutely. And don't, you know what? If you go to Bosnia, invite me. Let's go. Let's dig out those pyramids. Let's see if it takes probably takes longer to dig them out than however long
You
it
know
took
what?
them from the.
That's a good first date. Go to Bosnia, find the pyramids.
And that's another one in the can.